Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday, December 12th, Lebanon Utility Service Board meeting. Go ahead and call this meeting to order and let the record show that there was an executive and working session prior, at which no decisions were made and all meetings were properly advertised. If you please rise and join the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, first thing I'd like to do is introduce a couple new faces we have up here, both to my right. Immediately to my right, our new general manager at Lebanon Utilities, Ed Baskell. We welcome Ed from the state of Kentucky, and we're glad to have him here with us tonight. And down on the end to my right, new utility board member, Aaron Smith. Aaron replaces Gary Ladd, and we thank Gary for his time and contributions to the Lebanon Utility Service Board over the years. So welcome, guys. I know you've had a lot of information thrown at you here in the last week, but welcome. Glad to have you both.
Thanks.
All right, we'll jump to item number 3, approval of the minutes from the November 28th meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? And if they have, I would entertain a motion to approve those.
Yeah, I make a motion we approve the minutes.
Second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions or discussion about the minutes? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. Item 4, approval of board officers and committee assignments. Board, I believe you were given a sheet with officers and committee assignments for 2019. Anyone have any questions or discussion on the assignments?
I would move to approve the board officer and committee assignments as follows. Chairman Neil Taylor, Vice Chairman Bill Stoner, Secretary Jim Urban, board committees, Finance, Neil Taylor, Bill Stoner, Personnel, Dan Lamar, and Jim Urban.
Second.
Motion made by Dan, seconded by Aaron, to approve the officers and committee assignments. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Board, I want to entertain a motion now to skip to item 12, since we have some visitors here, and so I'll entertain a motion if that's acceptable.
I would move that we change the agenda, moving item number 12 up to item number 5, and 5 to 12.
12, right.
Second that.
All right, motion made by Dan, seconded by Jim to adjust the agenda here. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed, and so we will turn it to Council Jeff Jacob for the Sugar Creek Wellhead Easement.
Thank you. Board, as you're aware, and as we have discussed over the last several months, our wellhead field is located or known as Sugar Creek, and that is a substantive portion of the water for the city. And we have the wells and easement originated in 1978 or thereabouts, and there is a number of documents that need to be cleaned up. And as we discussed in our previous meetings, the deeds don't exactly match the actual location of the well fields. Additionally, we have a project that you have approved to install additional water line in the area. So you have been presented with a number of documents, including wellhead protection, easement, new easement area, taking a new deed into several other deeds, et cetera. And so what I'm asking for this evening is authorization to move forward, and this is a contingent transaction, meaning all of the elements of the transaction by way of approval of easement, vacation of easement, deeds, et cetera, would happen all as one. But I'm asking for the approval of the vacation of the old easement contingent upon the approval of the new easement, which also includes the wellhead protection easement zones. I'm asking for approval to exchange deeds, in essence, create new wellhead deed areas, giving the old wellhead back to the owner in exchange for that transaction, and authorization to make a offer to purchase the new easement area consistent with our proposed project.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Any questions for Jeff? If not, I would entertain a motion on item 12.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Jim. Any further discussion, questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 12 carries. We jump now back to 5, or you want to go to 13?
Well, I think the motion was actually to move 5 down to 12, so we'll go to number 6.
All right. Moving on to item 6, approval of board meeting dates for 2019. Board, you've been provided with a list of dates for 2019 Lebanon Utility Service Board meeting dates. All meetings are set to begin at 5 p.m. Any questions, discussion on those items? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion that the meeting dates for 2019 be approved.
Second.
Motion made by Jim, seconded by Dan to approve Lebanon Utility Service Board meeting dates for 2019. If there are no further questions, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, item 7, we will move to item 7, approval of ancillary benefits, and Sandra Morgan will be addressing those for us. Hello, Sandra.
All right, good evening. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. In November, we worked with Benefit Concept Indiana to shop our ancillary benefits, and that's the company we work with every year. It's like a third party between us and those companies to make sure we get the best prices. And the ancillary benefits include life, long-term disability, short-term disability, and vision and dental. So if you take a look at the presentation that I sent you, you can see that we got 5 quotes in, but we only actually got 2 full quotes. And that was from Kansas City Life, and our renewal came in from them at about a 5.14% increase for a total of $68,077. And then we had a full quote from Guardian, and that was $73,481.66. So what we're recommending today is that we stay with Kansas City Life, and VSP as the lowest and best quote for our ancillary benefits.
Right, thank you, Sandra. Any questions for Sandra?
Sandra,
Uh-huh.
do employees pay any share of the cost of these benefits?
On the ancillary benefits, no. We cover 100% of those costs.
And no deductible?
On the vision, you pay a portion. I believe it's like 80-20. We'd have to look. On the dental, you also pay your portion, your copay amount on all of those. On the health insurance, we have like a $6,000 deductible, but we already approved that for next year.
Well, I just want to make the observation that it's a good benefit plan, and I hope it helps recruit new employees and retain the good existing employees.
Great, thank you. And the employees are always very,
Appreciate it.
I'm not coming up with the right word, appreciative of
Yeah.
the benefits that's provided.
So we didn't alter any of the benefits? We didn't compromise deductibles or anything? All benefits?
We did not. All benefits are the same. Nothing was compromised. Everything except for the dental was a 2-year rate guarantee, so those rates forwarded over from last year, which is why it came in only at 5.14%. So.
Okay.
All right, any other questions for Sandra? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move to accept the ancillary benefits, vision, dental, and short and long-term disability as presented.
I second that.
Motion made by Dan, seconded by Jim. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thanks, Sandra.
Thank you.
Stay right there, though, because item 8, approval of the 2019 city salaries. Sandra will detail the utility portion of city salaries for us.
Yeah, so in your package, you should find a letter from Tanya Thayer, and that shows what the city approved in the salary ordinance 2018-17, and that included the utility portion of 3 city salaries. And that's for the mayor, the clerk treasurer, and the deputy clerk treasurer. So those amounts are in front of you. I will say that what you see represents a 0% increase for both of the elected positions, the mayor and the clerk treasurer, and a 3% increase for the deputy. So what we are requesting today is that the board approve the salaries for the city officials as shown above for 2019.
Any questions? I guess, Sandra, I'll just, for our new folks up here, this is something we've traditionally contributed to, correct?
Correct. It's very common for utilities to pay a portion of city salaries because even though we have separate boards, the mayor's still out there and representing us. He's still doing work on behalf of the utilities. The clerk treasurer keeps cash basis records for us to go into her record keeping every year and what she turns in. So I think that's the history of why those get paid, but it's very common throughout Indiana to pay a portion of those salaries.
Any other questions for Sandra?
You said that the clerk treasurer keeps cash records. What does that mean?
Yeah, as a utility, we keep gap basis records, so we're full accrual. And when the city turns all their records in, the city is on what's called a cash basis. So they're on when you receive the cash or when you spend the cash. We are on when you earn the cash or when you accrue the expense. Does that help?
Okay,
so if we bill this month, we recognize revenue this month, but the cash may not come in until next month. The city wouldn't recognize the cash until next month. So they keep full cash basis records for us.
So if the city didn't do this, we would have to do it at additional expense?
No, we actually do all the entries and everything, and we turn it over to the city. They just have to make entries in their account, but when they do their CTAR every year, they have to have those numbers in their report.
The reason I ask these questions, I've always found this interesting, that the ratepayers would pay part of the clerk treasurer's salary, but
That's the history of why, for most utilities, it's just because they do have to take our information and put it in with their information. So there's some work on their part.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Hope that helped.
All right, any other questions for Sandra?
Nope.
If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion we approve the utilities portion of the 2019 salaries for the city employees.
I second that.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Jim. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Right, item 8 carries.
Thank you.
Item 9, Sandra, once again, will keep the stage and discuss salary and wage recommendations.
All right, thank you. The next item that we have is really just a clarification. Back in November, the board did approve all the new salary and wage scales for the utilities. Those went up by 2.4%, which was what the cost of living was for the time period that we looked at. For state board account purposes, though, we do want to clarify that all qualified employees are entitled to that 2.4% raise. The reason we're clarifying, because I see some confused looks, is in the salary and wage scales, you have titles and dollar amounts. Well, those went up, so it's easy. But you also have people that are in a range. So you may have somebody whose range is $15 to $18. Well, what the board approved increased the range. But if they're in the range, it didn't specifically give me authority to give any of those people 2.4%. So we just want to clarify that through the board so that we know what to do come January 1st.
Okay, any questions for Sandra on item 9? So Sandra, this is essentially a 2.4% salary increase for utility associates.
Yeah, for all qualified.
All qualified utility associates for 2019.
Yes.
What does qualified employees mean in the utility regard? Is that full-time or?
It's all full-time employees, but if you were hired within a certain time frame up before the end of the year, so if somebody hired on December 15th and we gave them a salary, we would not increase theirs by 2.4% because they would still be in that 6-month time period.
Also, anybody that this might be their first utility board meeting that they're attending would not be entitled to that increase for 2019. So our GM that we recently just hired. So just to be clear, sorry, Ed.
No problem.
I was trying to be delicate.
I thought I'd just grab it by the horns. So.
All right, any other questions for Sandra? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move to make a motion to approve 2.4% salary increase for all qualified employees for 2019.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Aaron to approve item 9, salary and wage recommendation increase. If there are no other questions or discussion, I would, anyone all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Motion 9, or item 9 carries. Sandra, you need a break?
Yeah, I'll take one right after this.
All right, looks like this will be last of yours for now. Item 10, 2019 budget approval. Sandra will give us a high-level overview here of the 2019 budget.
Thank you. Before I start, I do want to start out by thanking several people because this is really a joint effort between many staff members. And that's Trace Bowles, Michael Susong, Josh Spencer, Vanessa Fisher, Corby Unrow. He's not with us any longer, but Corby had a big part in this budget. Seth Bird, Rick Hale, Lori Gross, and Brenda Belcher. So we worked through this budget over a period of about 6 to 8 weeks, just so everybody knows and the public knows. It's a 54-page document. That will be posted out on the website as soon as we do get final approval for that. We've had several meetings on this. We've met with the Finance Committee. We've met in working session, and we've answered a lot of great questions from board members. So based on that, what we do for the public is just a very high-level review because, again, they can go out and see this on the internet if they would like to. One second. Okay, so we start with the electric utility. We're proposing we have operating revenue, that we will have operating revenue in the amount of $23,507,935 next year. You can see how that's broken up. We have proposed operating expenditures of $22,495,527. And we have non-operating expense of $318,832. And what that is that's interest on our bond that we have outstanding since 2013. For a net margin of $693,576. On the next slide, you will see our proposed 2019 capital expenditures. The total is about $2.7 million. You'll see the 69 kV line loop, automated distribution, bucket truck, service to new facilities. So the line, most of those are maintenance items at that point. And what that means for the 2019 electric utility, the rate structure was put in place in 2013. It was designed to provide approximately $1 million per year for capital improvements, and that was averaged over a 5-year period. 2019 will be the 6th year that those rates have been in place. The 2019 budget leaves a net of $1.6 million available for capital, but once you take out the debt principal, it leaves about $1,059,000, which is exactly what the rates were designed to build. So 6 years later, it's doing exactly what it was designed to do. Our 2019 capital improvements not covered by bond is about $1.3 million. So that's a little bit in the reserves, but again, capital fluctuates from year to year. So 1 year it's going to be high, 1 year it's going to be low, but on average, we expect it to stay around that $1 million. So in summary, we do not forecast any kind of rate increase for the electric utility over the next 2 or 3 years. Any questions on the electric utility? Okay. For the water utility, we have proposed operating revenue of $4.3 million, proposed operating expense in the amount of about $3.5 million. We also have the new water loan that we'll be getting next year, and we're thinking somewhere around $312,000 between all the debt related on that, for a net margin of $526,000. The 2019 capital expenditures are budgeted at $4.3 million. You'll see the Sugar Creek well line loop, Indianapolis Avenue Phase 2, Sugar Creek electric and controls, William Street Bridge reroute, facility rehab, and then other maintenance items. For the water utility, the rate structure that was put in place started in 2018 and ends in 2022. It was designed to provide approximately $758,000 per year for capital improvements. So 2019 is the 2nd year that these rates will have been in place. So we're still in the growing stage of that. The 2019 budget leaves about $933,000. We won't have any debt principal next year. We'll have some interest expense, but no principal, but that leaves $933,000. And we're expected to spend about $628,000. So that's allowing us to build a little bit of capital for future programs because, again, it fluctuates. But looking at everything, again, for the next 2 to 3 years, the water utility doesn't look to, what we have in place with the 9% per year is covering everything. On the wastewater utility, we have projected operating revenue of $5.4 million, operating expense $4.2 million, and then we have interest on the bonds, leaving us with $761,000. We have $8 million, $8,157,420 in capital expenditures. So it's going to be a busy year next year. That we have the wastewater treatment plant improvements, Hendricks Drive force main reroute, wastewater system evaluation, line repair and replacement, and then other miscellaneous items. So looking at the wastewater utility, the rate structure was put in place in 2016. It was designed to provide about $940,000 in capital per year. The 2019 budget leaves about $1 million even, so it's about $60,000 more than what was projected. Our capital improvements not covered by bond is $877,000. So again, we think our non-bond cash will increase slightly, and over the next 2 to 3 years, we're not looking at a significant rate increase or any for those 2 or 3 years. For the telecom utility, we have operating revenue of $820,000, proposed operating expenses of about $635,000, some interest expense $6,000 for a net margin of $177,000. Their total 2019 projected capital expenditures is $108,000, and most of that's CPE upgrades, and I think that's customer equipment upgrades is what that is. IT improvements, wireless maintenance, fiber maintenance, and other maintenance items. So when we look at the telecom utility, we have about the $222,000 left. We have capital improvements of $108,000. So it appears that the 2019 cash levels will increase. Their capital expenditures fluctuates, but they're projected to be even lower over the next 5 years. They are continuing to cover $300,000 to $350,000 per year in allocated costs. And based on our cash flow, it would appear that they can pay $150,000 to $200,000 on their loan over the next 5 years. So we feel like they're doing really well also. So any questions on any of those utilities? And I know that's a really high level, but again, we've met with the Finance Committee, we've met in working session, we've answered a lot of great questions that's been emailed in. So what we're asking for today is that the 2019 budget be approved by the board.
All right, thank you, Sandra. Any questions for Sandra on the 2019 budget? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve the 2019 budget as presented.
Second that.
Motion made by Dan, seconded by Jim to approve the 2019 budget. If there is not any other questions, we would, or discussion, entertain, or all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item 10 carries. Thank you, Sandra.
All right, thank you, everyone.
All right, moving to item 11, wastewater treatment plant expansion project. Josh Spencer will address the board and provide some information for us here on the wastewater treatment plant expansion project.
Good evening. As we're talking about the wastewater treatment plant expansion project, as everybody's aware, it was tabled from the last board meeting due to review of the bids that were obtained. As we've reviewed, we feel that the best option that the Lebanon Utilities has today is to move forward with issuing the notice of award to Denham Construction for the bid amount of $8.38 million and allowing the general manager to sign all pertinent documents with that project.
Any questions for Josh? All right, if not, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Jim, to approve item 11, wastewater treatment plant expansion project.
Can I add something?
Yes.
This is a big project, and there's a lot of attention that's been given to this prior to this. So I just didn't want people to think that this was a rubber stamp. That
Yeah, thanks, Dan.
they worked real hard, and
Right,
it's
yeah.
really appreciated.
Yep, it's definitely has been discussed a lot. It is a large project, necessary project, and appreciate everybody's time that they've put into this, and it's definitely not taken lightly, so thank you for that, Dan.
Oh, sure.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 11 passes. Jump to 13.
Thank you, guys.
12.
Thank you, Josh.
12 is approval of resolution 2018.
Okay, so we'll jump back to item 5 here that was switched for 12 earlier. Council Jeff Jacob will ask the board to approve resolution 2018-07, annual rate of compensation.
Thank you. Board, as discussed earlier, or I guess last month, I was asked to present a resolution and recommendation related to board compensation. As you will note from the resolution, the salaries have not been reviewed or changed since 2015, and the discussion at the time was to change the annual quarterly compensation to $7,500. I'm happy to answer any questions related to the resolution. However, if there are none, I'll move forward with reading the resolution as is the practice of this board.
Correction, it's not quarterly, $7,500.
I apologize, it's annual, paid
Annual.
equally each quarter annually. is the way it's set up. Apologize. Thank you.
Any questions for Jeff before he reads the resolution?
We'll have an opportunity for comments after he reads the resolution.
Absolutely.
Resolution number 2018-7, a resolution adjusting the annual salary of Lebanon Utility Service Board members, whereas the annual salary of the Lebanon Utility Service Board members has not been changed since 2015, and whereas the current salary paid to board members does not reflect the level of expertise required of the position and does not adequately compensate board members for the amount of time and collateral expense required to fulfill the obligations of the position. And whereas the annual compensation of board members shall be adjusted to $7,500 paid equally at the end of each quarter annually. Each quarter payment shall be prorated within the utility department as follows: electric 31%, water 31%, wastewater 31%, and telecom 7%. Now therefore be it resolved by the Lebanon Utility Service Board of the City of Lebanon, Indiana, the governing body of said utility recommends that Resolution 2018-07 be enacted and supersede Resolution 2015-01.
Thank you, Jeff. I will say this is never an easy issue for a board to vote on for themselves. I'll say I've been I'm going on my fourth year here on the board, and I'll say that the complexity of the issues that the board addresses is ongoing, and there is a considerable amount of time and dedication to this board position. We also want to continue to have an interest from the public to serve on these type of boards, and I think that's important as well. And with that, we'll take any questions or discussion or comments for Jeff.
I wish to make some comments. I'm the newest board member, and I'm an appointed, I feel like I'm an appointed public servant. And I figured, I came in knowing that with the amount of time I anticipate putting in, that I would receive compensation of about $5 an hour. And to me, that was fine, because I see this as a public service position. And I also make note that we have elected public servants who serve on the city council. Their salary is $5,407 a year, and they haven't had an increase in 2016. Elected public servants have a more direct responsibility to the public than we do. And for that reason, and other reasons, I am not at all comfortable with giving myself what would be a 50% raise to perform public service. So evidently I have some relatively strong feelings on this, but I cannot support this resolution for the reasons stated.
Thanks, Aaron. I don't know if it's for the 2019 budget. You mentioned the city council. I believe there is an increase for city council this year that raises their compensation above this proposal. Just for the record,
I checked with the mayor before I quoted this amount, and he says that the salaries for next year is $5,407. So we have differing sources of information.
Sure. Does anybody any other comments on that? Or
Well, I think I talked to the mayor as well, and his position is to increase the salary of the city council to up $2,500. Now, whether it gets
effective when?
The budget has not been approved yet, so I don't know. That's up to the council to vote on, but that's his intent. Whether it goes into the budget for this year, next year, I can't tell you.
any other questions, comments, discussion on item 5?
So we don't know for sure what the city's, what the
They haven't passed, no, their budget's not final.
Any questions, further questions, discussion?
Just one real quick. I just want to make sure if it gets approved that there's an effective date put on that, because we haven't paid last quarter, and I could have missed it, Jeff, I just didn't hear it.
The intention is that it would be effective January 1, 2019.
Right, I just wanted to make sure we
Yep.
stated that.
Yep,
Thank you.
thank you.
If there's no further questions or discussion, I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we move to approve Resolution 2018-07.
I would second that.
I have a motion by Bill, second by Jim, to approve Resolution 2018-07. Any further questions or discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
We have 2 opposed. Dan opposed, Aaron opposed? Right.
Correct. Correct for me.
Yeah.
Leave you as the tie-breaking vote.
Okay, so that leaves me as a tie-breaking vote. As I mentioned earlier, I think that the complexity of the board and the issues and retaining is important. I would vote to approve the resolution and pass item 5. Okay, item 13, IT Professional Services Agreement Extension. Jeff Jacob will be addressing item 13.
Thank you, Board. In this time of year in 2015, the city and utility engaged Sandy Solutions to handle its IT professional services needs. Since that time, we've had some transition within the utility, and we are asking the board to approve a 60-day extension of that agreement, taking us into 2019. It is anticipated that the staff and myself will bring to you a agreement or agreement to review for approval of continued Sandy Solutions for some period of time going forward, but we did not think it prudent with Mr. Baskell coming in around the time we were considering that it appropriate to approve at this juncture. Accordingly, I would ask the board to approve the 60-day extension into 2019 of the Sandy Solutions agreement relative to Lebanon Utilities only.
All right. Any questions for Jeff? I know Sandy's here and present, so any questions for Sandy or Jeff on item 13?
Can I ask Ed a question?
Yes, sir.
Do you think with everything that's going on that 60 days is an efficient period of time for you to effectively evaluate the services at hand and wrap your mind about what's going to be best for this organization?
Well, I've been on board about a week, and
Yeah,
I haven't reviewed their contract or talked to staff about the issues. So 60 days might not be adequate, but I figure we'll have another board meeting between then, and I can give you an update and ask for more. If
Okay, if we need to
come it.
extend them at that point, we can.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a little bit of anecdotal information. I asked the Mayor Gentry and Deputy Fire Chief Robert Wiry whether Sandy Solutions have been providing satisfactory consulting service, and they both gave Sandy an enthusiastic thumbs up. So, for what it's worth information.
Thanks
Yeah.
for sharing that, Aaron.
Yeah, and just comment on that. My approach is going to be completely data-driven. Just just looking at, I haven't reviewed their contract yet, but I was going to see what their contract requires they do, see if they're doing it, and go from there. Because I have a lot of anecdotal information from staff as well, but to me it's just about about what the contract says and what they're doing, and it sounds like they're doing a great job. But from as far as the mayor's concerned and the fire department, but I'm taking the approach much like you have, sir, with us, asking the questions on the budget, and going through and looking at the details. So.
Yeah. Well, I had the same conversation with Sandy and the mayor and deputy fire chief as well. And I think that from what I see is Sandy Solutions is doing a good job for the city, and they are going to continue and sign a contract for 2019.
I appreciate data-driven decision-making.
Yes, sir.
Mr. General Manager.
Oh, thank you.
One point of clarification that the board will see is in 2015, there was an extensive process. Our IT department, we had graduated from an in-house IT department, and there was quite a bit of effort and time put into the 2015 agreement, and it was a joint agreement with the city and utility. I'm asking we extend just the utility portion of that. The agreement that you will see in 2019 is a separate agreement for the utility only. And the thought process there is to separate out some scope of services that we saw a difference between the utility and the city.
Yeah, it certainly makes sense because the police and the fire have different needs than the utility.
Right.
All right, any other questions, discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion for item 13.
So move.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Aaron to approve item 13. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion 13 carries. Item 13. Item 14, approval of claims. Everyone had a chance to review the claims. Are there any questions about the claims? If not-
I'm sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
I move we approve payment claims.
Second.
Motion made by Dan, seconded by Jim to approve the claims. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 15, any other business that comes before this board? Anyone have any comments on the board? I will make one comment. Sandra mentioned earlier that Corby Unroe is no longer with us. Wanted to publicly thank Corby for his services to the utilities. He was very valuable to us, and wish him the best in moving on from Lebanon Utilities. So thank you, Corby. And anybody else have anything for the good of the body?
Just want to say thanks for, great to be here for my first week. The staff has been awesome. We have truly an A-team people I'm working with here. I got hit the ground running, seeing all the facilities and meeting the new board member and running around trying to get a handle on the facilities, and just we've got a great team, and I'm just excited about the future.
Thanks, Ed. Glad to have you here. Anything else? Any public comments from the public? Questions? No questions or comments. Item 17 indicates that the next board meeting is Wednesday, January 10th at 5 p.m. With that, if there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Aaron to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Question.
Oh, question down here from Jim.
Is that January 9th or January 10th?
This is, you know what, this says 9th, but it very well may be 10th if that's a Wednesday.
I think it is the 9th.
9th.
Yeah, it's probably, let's see, did I say 10? Yep, I did.
January 9th.
That's 10, but I think it's the 9th.
Yep, it is the 9th. January 9th, 5 p.m.
I'm consistent, Vanessa.
Okay.
All right, thank you, board, thank you, public, appreciate it. And we'll stand adjourned.